in not so many words, head coach for Auburn, Hugh Freeze, pretty much said they could play 3 quarterbacks against Baylor. Now, I don't think this is like as bad or as good as it probably sounds on the surface. But if you're an Auburn fan, you're like, 3 quarterbacks? Coach, like, what about Jackson Arnold? Are we paying him a good amount of money to be here? We'll talk about that right now. Before we do, though, one, appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you are subscribed to the All3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football year round. So thank you for being locked in. If you're an Auburn fan, going to talk a lot about your Tigers here. Big one to start the year against Baylor. So make sure you're locked in. Preview, prediction, reaction, all that will be on this channel. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you are subscribed. Now, I want to make sure y'all also know the hard count is brought to you by our friends over at Roback. Okay, now we have been rocking with Roback for a while on this show, since before we got to On3. They are college football people. They are changing the game when it comes to the product they're producing. They have the best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar, Roback is changing the game when it comes to comfortable activewear. Released a ton of new items within their new licensed game day collection. My favorite, right? They got a ton of sweet polos for you that are Auburn themed. Got a nice little Sailor Obby quarter zip, little Sailor Tiger. Y'all that watch the show, you know I love a Sailor logo. Roback's got you covered on all fronts there for all your Auburn Sailor attire. Roback also proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, past, present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. So, important to hear this. Use code JD, those 2 letters, no periods, just JD on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all performance polos, shorts, any Auburn gear you can find in the game day collection with code JD. Save yourself some money, and it looks fresh too. So get locked in with Roback. We appreciate them bringing y'all the hard count today. To reset this, Hugh Freeze saying we could play 3 quarterbacks against Baylor, and kind of brought a little bit of an eyebrow raise from, I think, most people across the country. Maybe if you're an Auburn fan, you're like, sweet, we got 3 quarterbacks. I don't know if that's really how I would feel about it. Here's my take. I don't mind Hugh Freeze saying this during a press conference and at least letting the Baylor folks that are watching the press conference think, hey, Auburn, they could have 3 quarterbacks. Because if I say that during a press conference, guess what? If I'm Dave Aranda, head coach of Baylor, I got to at least honor the fact that you might play 3 quarterbacks. I got to honor the idea that Deuce Knight could have a package. Ashton Daniels could have a package. Already prepping for Jackson Arnold. I have to at least honor that. And if I am committing time during practice to prepare for the Ashton Daniels offense, the Deuce Knight offense, and the Jackson Arnold offense, I am just mathematically allocating less time to what I'd like to allocate towards, which is just 1 quarterback in Jackson Arnold. Okay, so there could be a little bit of chess going on here from Hugh Freeze. I wouldn't blame him for that. My gut on this is I think Hugh Freeze is being transparent and saying, I think all 3 could play for us, all 3 could help us. I wouldn't feel bad if I had to throw Deuce Knight in the game, is essentially what he was saying. I also think that a positive of this, saying this out loud at least during a press conference, kind of stokes the fires of competition a little bit in your room. Now, Jackson Arnold, he knows he's the starter, but just what we said on previous shows, Jackson Arnold being pushed by an Ashton Daniels, by a Deuce Knight, and getting the most out of him, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Competition in no way, shape, or form for people that have success at the highest level is ever taken as a negative. If he doesn't want to compete, or anyone in that room doesn't want to compete, newsflash, they're not going to be the guy that you want to trust when it's 4th and goal to go for the game against Baylor. So there's that part of this. I am much more okay with Hugh Freeze saying this out loud for what I just mentioned during a press conference than I am for them actually doing this against Baylor. Say it all you want. Put it on the On3 social graphic. Have a bunch of YouTube videos about it. Say it every press conference. I don't care. But if you actually do this, that's where I start to have a little bit of an issue. Because what have we talked about for the longest time, really for the last couple of months, when it comes to Jackson Arnold and him having success at Auburn? Nobody really questions him physically and what he can be. Nobody questions the arm talent, the athleticism. Everyone's a little bit concerned, like, hey, dude went through the ringer at Oklahoma. We got to build his confidence back up. Confidence was decimated because why? He was taken out of the football game against Tennessee. So I have a hard time thinking it's a good idea to once again take Jackson Arnold semi-consistently out of a football game for 2 other quarterbacks. That to me just screams PTSD. I don't want my quarterback having PTSD mid-football game. That sounds like a bad thing. I don't think that allows you to play at your very best, Jackson Arnold. Also, rhythm. That's a huge part of football, especially at quarterback. There is so much that you hear great quarterbacks say about finding the game's flow and having the game come to you and figuring out a defense, and you're better from one drive to the next and you get comfortable. It's very hard to get comfortable when you're being subbed out every other series, every other play, because Deuce Knight's got a package he has to get, or Ashton Daniels have to have a package he has to get, even if there end up being net positives with those packages. And Deuce Knight has success when he's in the game. Or Ashton Daniels. Taking Jackson Arnold out of the game stops the overall flow of the game for Jackson Arnold and him getting comfortable. Having a quarterback not be comfortable doesn't usually lead to great results any given college football game, all right? So if you want to roll with more than one quarterback, couple of qualifiers on this, because teams have done it. Teams have played more than one quarterback and had success. There's got to be two major caveats. One, I'd cap the multi-quarterback use at 2. If you're playing 3 quarterbacks, there's such a thing as doing too much. And we just mentioned how much Baylor has to prep for 3 quarterbacks. Think about Auburn as an offense trying to prep for 3 quarterbacks. Not enough reps to go around any given practice. Not enough hours in a day to get 3 quarterbacks ready at the highest level you need to go win football games for you. I think there's such a thing as overcomplicating things. Is there anything that Ashton Daniels is bringing as a runner that Deuce Knight's not bringing as a runner? I think you should probably just have 2 quarterbacks, get them dialed in, and clearly define their roles. That's the second part of this. If you're going to play 2 quarterbacks with a quarterback who is having some, confidence questions, that is Jackson Arnold, there needs to be very, very clear communication. Hey, Jackson, you're our starter. You're going to be our starter until otherwise notified. We're going to make sure that Deuce Knight has this set number of plays during a game. Hey, we get to the high red, we might sub in Deuce for a couple of different RPO things, some design quarterback run things. You're still our starter, but this is what we're going to do. Because if you start doing this thing where it's hey, Deuce is getting more plays one day, or Ashton Daniels starts getting a higher percentage of snaps, guess what? Jackson Arnold, just by nature of how humans are wired, is going to start saying, well, that's more plays than he had last week. Am I doing a bad job? We can all say we're cutting out the outside noise, we're keeping the main thing, but we're all humans. We all understand that when one person is getting more playing time from what they were a year ago or a couple of weeks ago, and I'm getting less playing time, it's hard to not look at yourself and feel some sort of insecurity, all right? I don't think that's unfair to put on one Jackson Arnold. So I think it can happen. I think you can do it, but you better be as clear can be communication-wise with Jackson Arnold on the front end how this thing is going to look. Because if it's just sort of up in the air and week in and week out, it kind of changes and fluctuates and there's no real communication, it's not going to be good for any quarterback's mental game, much less your starter in Jackson Arnold. So I'm okay with saying this. I'm okay with a little bit of confusion for the old opposition in the Baylor Bears, but if you're going to actually do this, I don't think that actually will play itself out very well in reality. So with that being said, we'll see what happens. I'd be surprised if they played all 3 quarterbacks against Baylor for the record, but neither here nor there. The plot thickens, and we're going to find out a lot week 1 Friday night in Waco when Auburn goes to McLean Stadium to play Baylor.